Hello, my friends. I think many of you have seen the statement by Merz saying that there are no restrictions on the long-range missiles being supplied to Ukraine and that Ukraine is allowed to strike targets inside Russian territory. And then Peskov said that such a decision would seriously damage peace negotiations.
These are potentially serious decisions if such decisions were indeed made. They completely contradict our goals for reaching a political resolution and the efforts currently being made to de-escalate. So yes, these are dangerous steps again, if they really happened.
This was to be expected. Russia is deliberately striking Ukraine to provoke Western countries and then blame them for supplying Ukraine with weapons, just to keep the war going under the same conditions, because that's exactly what they need. Yet Putin keeps insisting they were forced to start this war.
Back then, we were getting everything from just one Western company. And over there, they even built a huge administrative building on our orders. The lights were on from morning to night. Now, the lights are only on in the first 3 or 4 floors. Meanwhile, we've already built our own facility and, more than that, we're breaking into international markets in this field. So, in a way, thank God they were so short-sighted. But at the same time, it's unfortunate they treat our country this way. It's unfair and dishonest. I'm not going to get into political debates here, but we weren't the ones who orchestrated the coup in Ukraine. You see, they kept preaching to us about democracy and elections, and then pulled off a bloody coup like it was totally normal. Then they moved on to crack down on Donbas, bombing and killing people from helicopters and planes. It's absurd. They basically forced us to do what we're doing now. And now they're trying to blame us for it. As for the next step, you're absolutely right. I've said it before. One of our biggest concerns was software. That's about security in this area, cybersecurity.
Friends, don't forget to share your opinion in the comments. Now, let's move to the front lines because the situation there is catastrophic. Russian forces continue advancing rapidly. Let's start with Chasiv Yar. While there hasn't been any visible shift along the front line there over the past 24 hours, they're still actively assaulting the town. They're trying to break through near Protechene, Bila Gora, Kurdyumivka and Delivka. Now to the Kostiantynivka direction. There are no official confirmations yet, but it looks like Russian troops have managed to close the encirclement and force Ukrainian forces out of several settlements. Ukrainian soldiers have released video showing them striking Russian troops near the southern outskirts of the village of Zarya. This confirms Russian presence in the area, and just yesterday, Russian sources claimed control over Gnativka, Stara Mykolаivka, and the southern part of Zorya. Ukrainian soldiers themselves are confirming these reports, saying they've had to retreat. So, unfortunately, this is true, even though it's been kept quiet for now. To the southwest, the Russians have entrenched themselves in part of Yablunivka. Fighting continues on the outskirts. Russian troops are fiercely storming Gnativka and Zorya. Most of the village is under their control. In Stara Mykolаivka, they are conducting stabilization operations. Our troops are no longer present there. You've asked me about Romanivka. Here is the latest. Russian forces fully control the village and are partially entrenched in the tree line to the west. They are bringing in reinforcements for a potential breakthrough and pulling some units from Toretsk, primarily to support assault operations. The situation is dire, and so far no decisive actions have been taken. I don't see any response from High Command. Friends, I think it's obvious the front is collapsing and continues to fall apart, and with high probability, the Russians may soon break through to Kostiantynivka. This isn't fear mongering, it's just the grim reality. Unfortunately, the situation isn't getting any better. In the Pokrovsk direction, Russian forces continue launching attacks near Novopavlivka, attempting to break through toward Shevchenko Persha and assaulting Malinivka, Mirolюбівка, Lysivka, as well as pushing forward near Chunishane and Zvirove. The village of Udachne also remains under heavy pressure, but in the last 24 hours there haven't been any major changes on this part of the front. However, Ukrainian troops yesterday reported that Russian forces entered Popiv Yar and secured positions on its outskirts. That is very bad news. Let's take a closer look at this part of the front. As shown on the map, in just the past day, it was confirmed that Russian troops seized all the fields leading up to Popiv Yar. They've already reached the outskirts, and their progress here is significant. Today, there is a real possibility that Russian forces might begin advancing toward Koptiva. They are still attacking Shevchenko Pershe, and their offensive in this direction continues. But based on their breakthrough into Popiv Yar, if they manage to continue advancing through the open fields, 15 kilometers of terrain without any villages to storm, this could massively accelerate their progress. That would allow them to approach Drushkivka, and as a result, Kostiantynivka would effectively be encircled. They wouldn't even need to fight for the city directly. Ukrainian forces would be forced to withdraw because Russian troops could simply cut off all supply and reinforcement routes with FPV drones at a minimum. This open field push could give Russian forces the opportunity to capture huge territories. That's why a breakthrough in this specific sector could play a pivotal role for the entire Donetsk region. But according to Ukrainian soldiers, no decisions have been made yet. And the question arises, why can't Drapati stop the Russian advance? Friends, most likely his tactical moves can no longer hold back the pressure. The Russians simply outnumber our troops many times over, and they are overwhelming our defense with waves of manpower, and there is just not enough weaponry on our side to hold the line. In the Novopavlivka direction, things are also far from stable. Russian troops are attacking Novomykolаivka, Muravka, and Troitsk, and pushing toward the village of Horihove, also near Kotlярivka. They are also attacking Oleksiivka, breaking through near Odradne across open fields. Geolocation maps confirm that Russian forces have advanced through the fields, but not only that, they've also moved in from the northern side of Odradne. According to their claims, they've made gains along the highway in that area. So here too, the situation is gradually deteriorating. We're waiting on official confirmations and updated maps, which, as always, are slow to catch up with reality. In the Velika Novosilka direction, Russian forces are attacking Vilne Pole, Zelene Pole, and Novopil. Elsewhere in this sector, shelling continues, but no changes have been recorded in the past 24 hours. In the Zaporizhzhia direction, Russian troops haven't achieved any significant gains so far. They continue to push toward Novodanilivka and are assaulting Stepove. However, there have been no changes over the past day, and for now, the situation remains stable. In the Kherson direction, Russian forces continue their attempts to advance on the islands and are heavily shelling the entire right bank. However, there have been no changes so far. Still, it's clear the Russians are seriously focused on breaking through to the right bank and are conducting intense artillery preparation. Now moving to the Siversk direction, Russian forces are trying to break through in the Serebryanka forest, advancing toward Yampil. However, they have made no progress and all attacks are currently being repelled. In the Lyman direction, assaults continue on Zarychne, Zelena Dolina, Lipove, Ridkodub, the village of Novy Mir, and Druzhelubivka. However, despite high activity, the Russians haven't managed to break through, and the front line remains unchanged over the past 24 hours. In the Borova direction, Russian forces are attempting to break through near the village of Sinkove and are assaulting Novopavlivka. But for now, the Ukrainian forces are successfully repelling all attacks, and the front line hasn't shifted. In the Kupiansk direction, Russian forces have shown no significant activity and no new assaults were recorded in the past 24 hours. In the Dvorichna area, attacks continue near Krasnopersha and assaults on Stroyevka are ongoing. However, as before, the Russians have made no progress and the front line remains unchanged over the past day. In the Kharkiv direction. There are currently no active offensive operations, but Russian FPV drone activity is increasing significantly. Now, in addition to missile strikes and Shahed drones, FPV drones are being recorded over the city. So the situation here is clearly not improving. In Vovchansk, fighting continues, although there have been no changes in the past 24 hours. In the Sumy direction. Unfortunately, Russian forces have published video evidence confirming that they have fully captured Bilovody and advanced to the southern outskirts of the village. In the video, the Russians once again displayed their flag. This confirms that the offensive in this area is ongoing and that the front line is slowly shifting unfavorably for the Ukrainian forces. Ukrainian forces fighters also acknowledge that Russians are indeed capturing new settlements. Sumy direction update. According to my data, not sure if others have different info, the settlement of Volodymyrivka remains under our control, at least for now. It might be in the gray zone, but Russian forces haven't secured a full hold. They're also starting to push into the neighboring village of Vodolahy, where fighting is underway in the northern part. Bilovody is fully under Russian control, regardless of some claims that it's split. It can't be split because their flag is in the south and their positions are a bit further in. They expected to attempt an assault on Yablunivka next, but reaching it will require multiple motorized assaults. Lakhnya is also under Russian control, with Russians entrenching in the southern residential areas. Immediately to the north lies Yablunivka, which is practically merged with Lakhnya, and the Russians will likely begin attacking its northern part soon. So we'll have to wait and see how events unfold, but for now, there is no good news from the front lines. President Zelensky stated that Russia is indeed preparing to push further and has no intention of ending the war.
They are preparing new offensive operations. Russia is counting on a prolonged war. This is a blatant show of disrespect toward everyone in the world who wants peace and is trying to make diplomacy work. I am confident that the intelligence services of our partners also have this information and are seeing the same facts, and it's crucial that they do not turn a blind eye, that they report these facts up the chain of command. The only thing we need now are honest conclusions and coordinated pressure on Russia. More than 900 attack drones launched against Ukraine in just 3 days. Add to that ballistic missiles. Add cruise missiles. There's no military logic to this. This is clearly a political decision, Putin's decision, Russia's decision, the choice to continue the war and destroy lives.
And that's all from me. So please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.